So I'd like to call to order the Townsend Conservation Commission meeting for March 26, 2025 at 7:04 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mike Potsett here.
James Gates, present.
Kevin Smith, present.
Pat Gemma, present.
Kevin, do you mind leading us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The meeting is being recorded. Is anyone else recording? Chairman's additions and deletions. We're adding 3.3 Squanicook Meadows, the conservation restriction update provided to us by Mike Potsett. And 3.4 planning board floodplain district comments from the planning board.
Recording in progress.
Chair report. I have nothing to. Well, actually, yeah. So it was supposed. Colby, can you mute your? Sorry. I think nope. It's just your volume. Never like hearing myself speak. The town, the highway department, Mass DOT is performing bridge work on the Route 13 bridge just past Dunkin' Donuts, starting next week, I think. Kevin?
Yeah, that's what I was told. They didn't give the town too much notice, but that's
Well,
the plan.
they didn't give us any notice either, which they're exempt, but they should have given notice.
I think the town found out last week from what I gather. Gonna get started in there.
And that work will take about 6 months, but we are aware of it.
They're gonna cut it down to one lane, I guess. They're on one lane throughout construction. So they're probably gonna put some lights up, I would imagine, huh?
I don't know. 1.6.
Put that down so you can sign. The gentleman behind
Hey, Johnny,
Hi, Kevin. Thank you.
nice to see you.
1.6 review and approve meeting minutes. Colby, I didn't see any. Did you have any? I do not. All right, so
We'll move it.
there is log to that.
Thank you.
Remember exactly how long you can fill without doing it.
It was 60 days.
Okay, as long as you're aware.
Yeah.
I understand.
Painfully.
Don't worry, AI will be doing it.
You'll get it.
That's fine. No worry. Agent report, 1.7. Colby?
All right. So, site visits over the last couple of weeks. This is your property on Worcester Road. They're going to get admin approval for removal of some trees. They're close to 200 foot riverfront area and 100 foot wetland buffer.
How many trees was it?
Like I have 5. The spruces are right around their fence and just tops are coming out. So, and it's doesn't represent any kind of detriment to the wetland. Visited the property on Pine Road. There was a complaint about trash flowing into the stream right next to their property. The owner had contacted us picking up some, removing some trees that are behind their house, which they thought were on the conservation property, but they were actually not. You do have a property there.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's a little bit farther back. I sent a letter out to them, and the sanitary department as well, to get them to clean up the trash. Let's see, this week we went to 4.5 Old Bettery for a site visit for an RDA, 23 Shirley Road, NOI, be later in the later in the meeting. Started looking at learned for minor stormwater projects, my position is the agent for those. And we started looking at a stormwater project just today, actually, and there'll be more to come on that one. That's for Depot Street extension. Did a bunch of webinars. Open meeting laws, firm, FEMA, which is flood insurance rate mapping, grant for Mass 250, and another webinar on perennial and intermittent streams. And we learned this also that the land protection grant has been opened up again, and it has a June 6th deadline. And again, that's a grant that will give us funds for surveying on
Beautiful.
conservation properties.
So we have a little bit of time.
Yep, we do. It's pretty straightforward, that grant. That's it.
There was also correspondence with a vernal pool.
Yeah, you're right.
There was no address associated with it.
Yeah, I was looking for the address too.
Are vernal pools numbered, Chris? Not to ask
Are they
you.
numbered?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
can you,
You can
is
use
there
it,
a directory?
well, on the Mass GIS, where you can look up the natural heritage stuff,
Okay,
vernal pools that are registered vernal pools are shown on there.
the state just sent us an update on one.
Oh, so that may or may not be on the maps if
They
there's
shifted
a
it.
newly, oh, okay,
Just on a location.
Not to ask,
right.
random
No, so-
questions during a meeting, but
Right, no, so it's probably on the map, it just may not be, the updated location may not be shown on the map correctly, yeah.
but we did receive correspondence from Mass DEP regarding a vernal pool, that the location had changed slightly.
About 100 meters is what it says.
But there's no action that's required there. Do you know if Jack's coming to the hearing? Did he submit everything he needed?
Did, he didn't notify me one way or the other.
You're talking about,
Oh,
Well, divers,
right.
yeah, Jack.
No, I'm talking,
Sorry.
oh my God, Jack Ritchie.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I did not expect it.
Did you get a revised?
I did, yeah.
I do know I've been involved in that project.
Right.
With whatever he's got going on.
He's
now.
supposed to provide a revised narrative.
Oh, because he's doing some stuff at the house there.
Yeah, but it's gonna be pushed back. It wasn't anything that was gonna be that much more work for him. But
No, right.
He gave us a narrative, you need him here to deliver it?
but you have a copy of it?
I do, and I'm pretty sure I put a copy right in the form there. I can bring it up if you need.
No. I just have to look. Did DEP provide any feedback for the submitted, revised,
Not the revised narrative now.
but it was submitted to them? Okay. 7:14.
I'll double check on that.
7:14, I was gonna start it, so we're gonna, continue with the hearing for 56 Bayberry Hill Road, DEP number 308-0702, TWB 2023. Continuance of amended order of conditions hearing, from March 12th, 2025. Amendments include replacing present foundation and house with new foundation and house. Work takes place within 200-foot river front, area.
I've got no.
We had requested that the property owner provide an updated narrative to the project.
Which he did do.
He did, and I'll read it just into the record. To whom we may concern, I am submitting a request for an amendment to the OOC 456 Bayberry Hill Road, Townsend, Mass. 01474, DEP file 308-0702. This NOI was originally approved in June 2023. I permitted the replacement of the septic system and reconstruction of an existing dwelling on site. Septic has been built and grading has been stabilized. The only change this amendment is requesting is a new location of the proposed house. Please see the proposed plot plan for reference. I am requesting an amendment to the sections of the NOI and OOC regarding the building of a new structure. The old NOI and OOC stated the existing house was to be built in a 1-to-1 replacement of the existing foundation footprint and refurbish the existing driveway. The proposed amendments allows for the house to be located approximately 10 feet farther away from the wetlands. Additionally, I am proposing to remove 3 old sheds from the site, a large area of old pavement, and rework the existing gravel drive to improve access and maintain more than 100 feet of separation from the river to any impervious surfaces. The net result is a reduction in impervious area on site and an overall improvement. All new construction will occur within the 100 to 200 foot buffer area. I'm proposing to improve the site by complying with section 310 CMR 10.58 subsection 5A, C, and B. The proposed development will result in an improvement over existing conditions by reducing impervious cover and constructing the home further from wetland areas. None of the proposed work will be done within 100 feet of the river, as the septic has already been installed and fully stabilized. Revised NOI application has been submitted, and page 3 of 28 updated with this project's proposed impacts. The previously approved NOI proposed a total disturbance of 7,720 square feet, including 33,632 square feet within the 100-foot buffer. The amended application also includes driveway and house construction, which totals 5,310 square feet of disturbance and only 48 square feet of disturbance within the 100-foot buffer, which is the removal of one of the sheds that is to be seeded with grass. Overall, the amendment to the existing DEP file 308-0702 is a minor change, allowing relocation of the house and an overall improvement to the site and surrounding natural resource areas. Thank you for your consideration, John Ritchie. I know, Mike, you have questions on any of the wording?
No, it's, we saw everything last time, and this is just a modification, right? So everything seemed fine last time, except
now it's just in writing.
Upgrading the writing, right?
So
Yeah, that's
okay. So beyond that, do we have any concerns? We can go around the table, and I think we talked about it pretty well last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll make a motion, and then we can discuss it after someone seconds it. So
You beat me, I'll second it.
So I make a motion to amend the order of conditions for DEP file number 308-0702 to reflect the revised letter that was submitted to the DEP and to conservation as outlined. Is there a second?
No, second.
That's it. Now discussion. Okay, roll call vote.
Mike Todd said yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat Gemma, yes.
Right, so I make a motion to close the hearing for 56 Bayberry Hill Road, DEP number 308-0702, TWB 2023-155.
Second,
Second, roll call vote,
Mike Potts said yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat Jonah, yes.
Also.
I like it when you put down approximately. Week starter. It all should be that way.
I don't know. Our applicant and his engineer are here.
They're here.
Mind if we start early?
I don't mind.
It was the best thing they ever did when they started putting approximately.
2.2,
I thought that was inappropriate.
I fought that for years. No, we have to start this time.
No more twiddling your thumbs.
There's other stuff to talk about, but 2.2, 23 Shirley Road, approximately 7:30 p.m. It is 7:21. DEP number 308-0720, continuance of notice of intent hearing from February 19th, 2025. House to be built within 100-foot buffer zone of wetland, driveway to cross a wetland resource area. Chris McKenzie is here. Present this applicant. Are there updated plans on this?
I sent them in.
There's two sets.
Yep.
Look at the stamp date, they're pretty close to each other. Visually, so.
Yeah, there's not a whole heck of a lot of difference from one plan to the next. There is a revision block on the revised plan. So.
What was the revision we talked about?
Well, the revisions that were done on the plan were both Conservation Commission revisions and Board of Health revisions. On
Some labeling and
yeah, also labeling.
Labeling.
That detail. I took care of most of them right after the meeting, so they faded from my brain a little bit, but they were all very minor. The one big deal that we did talk about was the culvert.
Yeah.
Guys that were concerned about the diameter of the culvert. It's a 12-inch RCP. I had one of our fine engineers that design roads all the time. I had him do some calcs on it. He found that and I accidentally told these guys that the pipe was going to fill a 1/4 inch. It's a 1/4 foot, so 3 or 4 inches is what it's going to fill up. I thought about it after I said that to you guys. I said, wait a minute. I think I told them 1/4 inch. It's not a 1/4 inch. That doesn't even make sense. It's a 1/4 foot, so the pipe will only get filled up about 3 or 4 inches at the most. I think it was either a 25 or a 50-year storm. So the 12-inch pipe is plenty. When we did our site walk the other day, we also we took a good look at that area.
With all the snow melt, how much water was in? Was it much?
Not much. There was
Couple
mostly
inches.
puddling,
Yeah.
and these guys will attest. There was no flow
We
or
gotta be
channel.
careful that we're in a drought state.
Well, yeah,
and this and that.
exactly.
Right, but there was no real movement of the water, and there was no channelization. There was no evident channels in the ground.
That's the
And then that's
channeling is big.
yeah, that's the big deal. And it really wasn't. It was really just wetland that had some standing water in it for the most part.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm familiar with it. It was
Oh,
color coded.
I put your.
Yep, I saw that. How approximately how many feet in between? where did you
I
label
put
it?
a note,
Okay.
install do not disturb signs, and see detail. I didn't say, but I said along the 30 foot, and I'm basically designating it as that area from one side to the other. I'm sure that's something you guys can specify in the orders, the spacing.
It's
on
something that we haven't requested as of yet. We don't wanna make it a burden on someone, but we want it, it'd be nice to kind of.
Yeah.
And I know chances are 20 years they'll be gone or
Yeah, right,
thrown in, but at least we can
right.
make an impact when we're here.
That looks good.
So you color coded one, Mike? Is that the one that was on top?
It might have been. I do think it makes it easier to see the components.
Okay, Kevin, you wanna show us that?
I might be able to explain the coloring better, because I kind of forgot about. I went to a seminar on it recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
And,
gonna say,
they're showing the houses and the construction in this particular case, orange.
Mhm.
This is the replication area that is replacing this area that was taken. And this is put back in, and this is colored in their new state colors. The green all along the edge defining the wet, the orange obviously construction, and the blue, no disturbance. Underfoot. I think it's in the 50 or the 35. Oh,
I think
pink.
it's a 50,
Right.
And,
35 is.
yeah, so it's a good way of,
What about?
it's a good way for people to easily understand
yeah,
what's
I
going
agree.
I
on,
opened up.
you know.
I like
And
it.
like this wetland take, this is so many square feet. This is replicated over here.
That's good, that's good to know.
This is the construction.
Well, I think it helps to understand that the culvert will work.
Yes.
Nice.
So, Chris, this, you know Ann Gagnon?
Hi.
She had a question about you explained it to us really well last time with the Fish and Wildlife property, and then there was the National Heritage part that was.
Right, there was
you
a
had
section,
discovered. Do you mind just re-explaining it and?
Sorry
Again,
about that. I think you probably notified the abutters, but
yeah, butter notifications all went out. Yeah.
so they send one to Fish and Wildlife, but what happens is they send it to 251 Causeway Street
In Boston.
Right.
And we're not even at 251 Causeway
Right.
Street.
I don't know why they don't send them there.
That's,
Right.
Everything for this area they should change,
yeah,
because this comes up
all
more
the
than you know,
time.
Ann.
And I didn't even know that this was, directly abutting until I just happened to come for something else, so.
All right, because somebody from your office called me. That's why I was gonna ask if that was you that had called me. Somebody called me and said exactly the same thing. It takes forever. They actually called me after the first meeting that we had. And I explained to them what was going on here. And they just wanted to get clarification on what
And
was
you,
happening.
and you
So.
did submit to Natural Heritage.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Yep.
that's fine. I don't wanna delay your
Right,
project.
right.
It's just.
You're not here for delays tonight, Ann.
Right.
No, but it's a valid point, and I don't know how we address that.
Well, I've
If it's a
already,
state level thing.
I've already, asked my boss, can we resolve this statewide?
Yeah, and
You
all
know?
this area, the jurisdiction falls under air.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
that property is familiar to somebody from your air office, but not somebody from Causeway Street in Boston.
Right.
I don't know why they don't send them to the regional districts, I guess that's what you call them,
Yeah.
regional district, rather than,
Right, well, we're required to send out per the assessor's office.
oh, no, absolutely.
Address, so
I guess what I'm getting at is why
that office.
that they don't
Nothing,
have
there's
for
nothing we
different
can fix about
regions.
this,
Right,
but it's just one of those
not gonna
things
fix that
that
tonight.
is annoying,
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you hear about it well after the fact, and it's like,
But no problem. So
I got a call today from North County Land Trust.
I'm sorry?
I got a call today from North County Land Trust about a piece of property that we own. They have, they're abutters. Like, they're right in what they're regional, but they're in Leominster, aren't they?
I'm sorry?
The North County Land Trust,
Yeah.
they're right in Leominster.
Yeah,
So they're kind of regional.
yeah.
Fish and Wildlife should do the same. Better yell at you and put in bosses.
So Chris had told me that he also extended the picture of the wetlands.
Replication?
No, the actual wetlands.
No,
Oh.
I just say,
Beyond.
Oh,
open the
beyond
window
the
up
lot.
down
Yeah,
for
you
the
kicked
view,
it,
so
you
you,
kicked-
so you can
you
see.
So
kicked
you
it
can see
off.
that it actually stops at
Right,
a point.
Yeah.
Another thing that was added as well, it was in response to the natural heritage submittal. They did find that it is a turtle habitat, and so they have some restrictions that'll be in place if the work is done between May and November.
April and
Or April.
March and October, right, October.
I wrote it down, just like they said it in their letter.
Okay, let's pick your grant.
April 15th.
April
November
15th,
1st.
November 1st, right?
April 15th?
April
I
15th.
thought it was April 1st to November 1st.
Yeah.
So that obviously would have to be done if work is done during that period.
Turtle Gate.
Yeah.
I came up with a very unique turtle gate. I use a cattle fence with plywood and rubber mat on the bottom. You open the door and close the door.
Yeah.
Double gate, close it. That sliding lumber back and forth, that lasts for about a week.
Yeah.
Last summer, there was a development in Dunstable, and they put all the erosion control all the way around, and they left the front wide open. And someone from Natural Heritage came, and it was a turtle nesting, and shut it down the entire summer.
Yeah, the next site down from there on the opposite side of the road,
I'm sorry to laugh. It just,
the very next site down from that one, on the opposite side of the road, that's where we started using cattle gates. And securing the cattle gates, closed them in with rubber matting.
yeah,
They'll
there's a
seal it.
reason for it. There is a reason for
And
it.
that guy did sit for an awful long time.
So, Chris, you did everything we asked. I asked the commission to, I know Mike color coded it. If Pat, you have questions or?
No.
Well, from the
Sir?
site visit, I was curious about this location here. And the water was ponding here and here, and there's where the driveway is gonna be is a little bit of a berm, sort of a natural high spot anyway. So this culvert is gonna connect the two
Correct.
ponds when they're, I
Well,
don't know if it's an advantage or a
Pond,
disadvantage,
wetlands,
it just is. And then we found the replication area, and that's not gonna require very much
No.
contouring at all.
No, pretty simple,
Yeah.
pretty simple site.
Colby?
Yeah, so I think I can provide one option for you if you want to do this route, to go this route. And, because it's a BBW, Boreal Vegetative Wetland, it is still wetland, it still has functions as a wetland, in flood control, habitat. And I realize there's no standing water in it or flow, but it still does have wetland functions. The project will be reducing the amount of wetlands there. You have the option of requiring a wetland scientist to oversee installation of the driveway portion going across there in the culvert.
Well, in the end, we are replicating, I believe, 1.5 to 1 or
Yeah, it looks like
something.
1.5
So,
times.
Colby, are you concerned about the manner that the driveway is
Construction method.
installed?
The construction method of installation.
Yeah, it's really not the replacement of the wetland area itself. Just the potential that is there for, you could actually create more wetland upstream of that culvert with that driveway.
Well, I don't know if I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the culvert's going in.
But then again, I wasn't physically on the site, but based on the grading. We do it all the time. To me, it's all, it just, it's like second nature, but,
Yeah, I understand that the grading is very level
it's
for
flat.
a large area. I had to study the map to find out where the inlet and outlet outlets are. There's actually two outlets I found to that area because it's so broad and flat.
Yeah.
Just, it's an option for you. The wetland scientists would, just provide, the expertise, but they could.
Well, they'll give us, they'll need a letter of certification. I mean, they can provide that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have to certify.
Well, the wetland replication area requires, supervision by the botanist anyways.
Yeah, that is a wetland biologist that is required there, the letter's in there.
Wait, how do we come up with a wildlife biologist now?
Yep, it's, from the Fish and Wildlife correspondence. These are actually all the way back. There you go. That's the ACEC and the page that for the correction, if you wanted to find it. Right here. Biologist, so. You're asking for.
If they would do the work within that time frame.
Right, that's the note that I put on.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
regarding.
standard. It's a standard.
Yeah,
It's a
that's a
standard.
yeah, that's standard. If they're gonna work within the,
Right,
the habitat
right,
season, I should say,
right.
you know. Johnny, when were you planning on doing this? Are you gonna do it next fall, late fall, winter, or gonna do it
We
over
might
the
do it
summer?
soon. We might do it soon.
Oh, yeah, we'll take that, yeah. Okay. Well, you'll have to. Have you ever seen the turtle?
No, it's never been anything that I've seen there.
Well, no, that doesn't matter, like. we don't
Well, they're
determine
gonna,
that.
yeah,
Like, if you wanna do the work between April
Right, right.
15th and November 1st, you have to,
you're following a little different set of rules.
Yeah. Is that because it was ruled in the ACEC or no?
No, it's because it's, in a priority habitat for, landings turtle.
I see.
yeah.
The ACEC, we fixed that, we
Yeah.
straightened that.
A lot of the rules have kind of changed since you did the last house.
Oh, yeah.
Up in there with the wetlands rules. Now you got turtle habitat.
Yeah.
Something that we didn't have. Well, we've had it. But something that they didn't require this kind of action on. In the last decade or so, things have really changed.
Yeah.
Actually, a little longer than that, probably 2 decades. Probably, oh, huh? Been 20 years that I can remember. I may be off, but
Goes fast.
yeah, it does. And the older we get, the faster it goes.
So the turtle protection thing, there's no work around, there's no discussing it, it's a requirement.
Yeah.
And it's not us that you have to worry about being, receiving an enforcement order, it's the state that will be visiting.
And that's a busy road.
Yeah, so obviously we'll put that as a special condition in the order of conditions. Is there any other discussion, questions, comments?
I don't
Amy, did you have anything else? It's like, you know,
It's a nice plan.
so, I'll make a motion, we can amend it. If we see fit, then we sell it in second, and then we can discuss it and. Make a motion to issue a standard order of conditions, for 23 Shirley Road, DEP number 308-0720. Colby, what's the TWB number on that?
I'll find it right.
All right. Hold on.
Pen guy, or is that pencil?
You wouldn't know offhand, would you?
God,
You see it?
It's a sign.
That's all right.
Should have been, so didn't move.
Yeah, I don't see it.
What's it? It's not in the nifty form, is it?
I can sign right now, for you.
Okay.
It's a TWB 2025-003. Thank you.
So TWB 2025-003. The special condition of placing no disturb signs every 100 feet, 50 feet along the,
Oh, 50 feet back.
so every 50 feet along the 35-foot
No
buffer.
Yeah,
We have some that we can provide,
do.
right?
good.
Yeah, we have a stack of them.
Huh.
And I think we have aluminum nails.
You can help you with that. Roughly speaking, you know, on the trees or whatever, you know.
Right. It's kind of a guinea pig. We're gonna try it. You know, place those signs every 50 feet, prior to construction. And that should be part of the,
Order conditions.
no, that's a special condition, but it should be part of the
special,
the erosion control
Yeah.
inspection.
Oh,
And also a special condition to follow, National Heritage's requirements for, construction to take place between, November, what was it, Chris?
April 15th.
April
to
15th.
April
for
15th,
November.
well, for construction to take place between November 1st and April 15th. If that is if that does not occur, a requirement of a turtle protection plan will be required. And that should be written and submitted to conservation and also to the state. So there's second.
Oh, yeah, second.
Oh, I grabbed it.
All right, that's great.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Um,
Any questions?
Colby, anything?
Just one, just a reminder of the Townsend Wetland Bylaw, the 35-foot no disturb zone, that's, the vegetation is supposed to remain.
Or with the exception of the, where the work is. So should he have done, a waiver request, or should he have done a request for a waiver for that 35-foot?
No, I think that's obvious, but. Yeah.
Second, roll call vote then.
Yeah, roll call vote.
Mike Pot said yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat General, yes.
Motion to close the hearing, for DB 20-0720, CWB 2025-003. Roll call vote,
Mike Pot said yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat General, yes.
the next one looks familiar.
Right.
We have a DEP. Forms. Forms.
3080719.
Hey, 2322 Sauna Road, DEP number 308-0719, TWB 2024-197, continuance of NOI hearing from January 22nd, 2025, with placement of,
Foundation.
replacement of house and foundation with new foundation and house. Work takes place within 50 feet. 50-foot wetland buffer zone and 35-foot no surf zone.
Just in time.
Since our, James
President?
Potts said, told me when we do, agendas, can you include the applicants?
Sure.
And also representation, name and then representation, whoever,
Yeah, got it.
please.
I will recuse myself.
You're gonna sit on that side of the table right now.
Now you get to go over the other side for a minute.
Right.
We're not gonna bother you. You said, yeah.
Well, listen,
Should I pass it sign?
Oh, yeah, sure.
there's two folders here, so.
I don't know with this one, because I did see it.
Mike, did you color code your own?
I did not.
How come?
There should be a new one there that I added. What was it?
Oh, you got an update?
No, there's another one.
December 04. December, that's the same one. You got something more, Carl? Additions as of January 6th. Originally.
No, that's not it. It's,
Was it?
What? Yeah. One folder didn't have,
I have an extra
there another
copy.
page?
No, they're both the same.
No, I have another copy.
They're both the same.
Is this one of them too over here?
Well,
To me, no?
yeah, that's an old one.
Oh, okay.
Here's what you're looking for. So it was requested that I add the straw bale silt fence at the road down here, at the edge of the deck. You wanted proposed lines,
Yeah.
and it's pretty clear that the additions were made by me on this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. When he was in here before, we had, when we went out there, did the site inspection, asked for straw bales, staked in good, especially right up here, because it's along that right away. And then down along the bottom, going down each side. And then, there was no proposed water line or septic line
Right.
on the original plan. And since then, you've been to, Mr. Smith down at the highway department.
Well, I did talk to him, and he
Okay.
didn't he thought at this time, and he was gonna talk to you, James.
He hasn't, but.
He hasn't, this was
It's not a big
this
deal.
was months ago,
Okay.
and he said at this time, he didn't think it was, necessary to get the permit
Okay.
at this point.
Okay,
That's
Cause you got an old line under there and basically an old septic line under there, so,
Right.
you know, we're talking about a high traffic road there. 6 cars a day,
All right.
maybe 4. So, I get it.
No, that's fine. If you're working under his guidance,
Right.
Yeah,
but it's just a matter of making sure everything's on the plan, so then you don't have to come back and change it
no
again.
issue,
this
no
or
issue
that.
down the line.
So the rest of it obviously is on the plan here.
Did you submit a copy of this to DEP?
No,
Well, they're gonna need to see an updated copy of this.
Yeah, 'cause this is what they're running with right now.
right, okay.
And what's his name had submitted this probably on your behalf. I can't think of his name, your rep.
Matt,
Matt, yeah, Matt from Westminster. So, yeah, he'll need to submit that,
Okay.
isn't it?
well, I think they're doing it themselves now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
Okay, so we'll send this to them.
that's just an addendum.
Yep.
A revision to this plan.
Is there a date on this? When it was,
Somewhere you have the original, this is a copy, you have the original
Correct.
and a copy. I can, add a date,
Yeah.
on the original, make some more copies so that you
Put a
have.
block down in the.
so when you submit this piece, you just have to have a block
Yeah.
stating when
Yeah.
it was updated last.
The
Okay,
block
So because,
revision to this.
they'll see that and they'll look to see when the last revision was done. And then they'll see that you submitted the revised plan.
With
And,
the erosion control.
and they'll look for when the date on that. So just,
okay. So maybe Colby, I'll get the original back from you and we'll just work from the original and make new,
Yep.
It's in ink, so, it's,
So. We'll keep this, these we can, no, these are not.
yours.
Yeah.
You have this somewhere.
So keep these back in here.
And we do have the demolition permit.
it takes time though.
You getting that?
Yeah, we're getting there slowly.
Can we approve this with the condition? Or that's extended?
Extend it.
Well, approve.
Can we approve this
Yeah.
with without the revised plan we had submitted?
With a
Much
condition,
like-
with a condition.
Much like Jack Ritchie's.
Yeah.
I'm a little uneasy without.
With a
Being-
condition, no. Better off to kick it out. That would be the best thing.
So Mike,
What
what we wanna see is, I don't know. I hate to drag this out. We'd like to see us submit that to DEP just so they have, just in case they have any comments.
This is the Worcester office?
Yes.
Um,
I doubt they will because it's a great plan. It's loaded right up with erosion control. But, I think we should.
especially with Vinton Pond,
Yeah,
being Vinton
you know,
Pond.
Probably should kick it over there and then we'll
Do
just,
that tomorrow, and hopefully we can we'll schedule you for the continuance for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And hopefully they will have responded.
They're
by
pretty good at
which-
reaching right back out, so,
Okay,
you know, that way, that's the best way to handle it. Like to approve it with a condition of approval from DEP.
yeah, no,
To save you,
Yeah.
but it's not really gonna save you any time, because it could take them a week or 10 days, and, you know, we'll just deal with it.
Well, it might be a little bit longer, but if they do
Yeah.
come back
Yeah.
quick, I
Well, we
Probably
can
be able
just,
to
yeah,
close this out
we
for
can
you.
close it
Yeah.
out for you, we can, you know, at least at that point, we can bump it ahead another 2 weeks.
okay.
you know.
So when I submit this, I use numbers that are already. How do I do a narrative along with it, or just describe it briefly?
You just have to do a brief summary of the revisions.
Okay,
It doesn't have to be like John Ritchie did where, you know, it's a different narrative. You know,
Right.
your narrative hasn't changed, but you've
Yeah.
added certain things and, I
Yeah.
think Colby can guide you if you have questions,
okay,
but it's pretty straightforward and just email it to them.
oh,
Emailing will be the fastest.
yeah, okay.
Otherwise it gets sent to Boston and they'll never get it.
Unless,
Let's see, and smile.
I know.
If they want to send to the regional office, CRO, CERO, central regional office.
Do we have the
It's in
capacity to
Boylston,
scan it? and Send it?
We do.
Would that be possible?
well,
To email it, let me look into it.
well, if the revisions are hand drawn, I'd have to take a picture of it and send it if I
You
email it.
can, or no, we
Or-
have to scan it.
I think we've been doing that with Richie, so.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I'll touch base with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right,
Yeah,
one way or
right
another, I
to
mean,
them.
I don't even mind driving down to Worcester.
Yeah.
Handing it to them.
that's your choice. I mean, we can do it however.
I don't wanna drive to
Want
Worcester.
for a ride?
I can think of a lot better directions to drive, let's see, maybe Dunstable, Mason, New Hampshire.
Um,
To be honest, email would be even quicker.
Okay, all right, I'll come, yeah, I'll be in tomorrow.
so we just wanna make sure that DEP doesn't have any other questions, or concerns. You know, seem like we- Yeah, so I make a motion to continue the hearing for DEP 308-0719, TWB 2024-197 to, our April 9th meeting. Do that at 7:15. Approximately. Well, my apologies that we have to continue this again.
It's okay,
We'll do it right.
yeah,
But hopefully for the next meeting, they'll have. Right, so, I make a motion to continue April 9th. Is there a second for,
A second,
Second,
James Gates, yes?
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat Jamal, yes.
Like you got off on that one,
yeah,
huh? Now you can put your hat back on, back to the table.
I'm recused myself.
Not anymore, now you can step back to the table.
Yeah.
Three point one, 4.5 Old Battery Road, 758, RDA for replacement of septic system. Colby, is there a TWB number for this?
No, I didn't think RDA's got it.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. I got one for you then.
Colby, I'll write it down on my notes.
0004.
You got it.
You joining us tonight for that?
I am.
sir?
Yes. That's not even here tonight for this.
Oh, we had another
You're
meeting.
already here.
And I was gonna be here anyway, so. This one's, pretty simple thing. I didn't bring a copy of the plan with me, but I think you have one there.
We did.
So,
We'll loan it to you for free.
Talk about it and then
yeah, it's
you went to the site walk.
so pretty,
I actually went up there. So I technically did a sidewalk, because they asked me to go up and take a look at it.
I miss all these sidewalks. I do them? I can't remember.
I love
Cause
That
I-
was-
I know
The
that-
day I went up there, it was so slippery, you couldn't even stand up the ground.
Copies. Like,
simple site, septic system upgrade for an existing house. The existing leach area is right underneath where the proposed leach area is shown. So in order to do some testing, we tested a little closer to the wetland back here. You can see the 100-foot buffer. We kept the system outside, just outside the 100-foot buffer, so the corner of the system's right at 100 feet. There'll be some minor work in the buffer zone in that we gotta do to meet Title V requirements, we're gonna do a 5-foot over dig, remove the topsoil and replace with sand. This system. No, the system's in the ground. The groundwater table was quite a ways down. I think it was 84 inches or something like that. If I remember right.
7 feet, right on the grade.
Right there, 84 inches down. So we were able to get a stone and pipe leach bed in there without having to pump the system and without having to add any grading. So really, the only work in the buffer zone is the 5-foot over dig. Right, just, putting it all back the way it was. We showed some erosion controls going around.
Fixing the test holes that you dug within the 100.
Yeah. That'll have to be cleaned up, obviously. We should the homeowner, but to see that.
I have no issue.
There's a well in the backyard, so you can see the 100-foot well where you kind of.
Yeah.
The yard. Any other place on the property, we would have had to pump it to, and it would have been.
And you got the wet down in there.
And what doesn't show on here too is, we saw it when we did our site walk, there's a drainage way that comes wraps around like this. The well is actually.
A little bit of a
outside
swale.
that. Yeah, it's a
A
swale.
little bit of a
Couple
swale
little
there.
bridges there. I'm no wetland expert. I didn't see any wetland plants in there. I saw water flowing through and it's all grass. It was all grass. So, but the point is that would not be a viable area for the system as well. So this is really the only viable location, and it's kind of a remove and replace. So we're gonna dig out the old system and put in a new one.
It's the best place on the lot for it, it's where it was.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any?
Not really. It's just that one of my observations was that where the wattles are gonna be, in front of those two trees there, it's sort of a berm anyway, so nothing's gonna get by anyway. Was the straw wattle on the driveway. There's a slight pitch down, ever so slightly, and I think my concerns were alleviated when Jack pointed out that the material that they had excavated already was just sand and gravel and it wasn't silt, so probably the straw wattles would be sufficient. And even if something got by, there's plenty of grass before you get there.
Right, it's
That's
all
all
sandy
water.
up there, so any water that does
Yeah.
overflow in that direction is gonna soak in the ground fairly quickly.
One of the things, actually, just remembering now, and I didn't think of it till now, but, stockpile location on these plans. They're not gonna push it back right now, but just a reminder.
There really won't be any stockpiling on this. They're gonna take out the old tank, put in a new tank, so they'll dig it out.
Crush it up, haul it out.
Yeah, and then they'll haul it off site, put it in a new tank, fill it in. This again is top and subsoil removed, so they put the sand in and then it'll be put back on, so.
Just for the future, just remember to.
Right, there won't be, there's only this is the limit of the 100-foot buffer, so there won't be any storage.
I mean, really, if they had to,
If they have to,
the loan will go right here and the material will come out.
there's a lot of lawn right up in here that they could store it on, and it's all outside the buffer.
Again,
I think I'd be putting it in the driveway.
I'd have to look through them, but I think one of our standard notes in our wetland, notes, probably on page 2 or something, if there is.
There wasn't on this.
None of this one?
So, it's pretty much just on this.
Yeah, we usually have some kind of note somewhere that says, about, stockpiling of materials in the buffer zone.
Yeah,
But usually that's on a notice of intent file and not.
right. Well, I know one of our plan requirements is location of stockpile and, and I'm not,
It's right there, it's right
yeah,
there.
I know.
Condition on the RDA to stockpile outside the buffer zone would not be an issue at all from our perspective.
Oh, yeah. Any reputable contractor will know better.
Right.
I don't see, Pat, did you have anything you wanna add or ask?
Sounds like
Quiet
it's
over there tonight.
straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
No,
Colby, thoughts, recommendation?
Yeah.
I
Chris
haven't asked
spoke-
the recommendation yet. What do you recommend we do on this? -6?
Chris spoke to this
Negative
already.
3?
Not a viable option behind the house because there's an intermittent stream.
I don't know if it's that, but something
It
there.
would-
Yeah, there's something.
Something there. And this location, is exempt per 310 CMR 10.5A, 6A, because it's, an existing, replacement, repair of existing septic system. It is, it's within a 200-foot riverfront area, but outside of the 100-foot distance from the mean annual high water line.
Oh.
But there again, it's I suggest to give it a determination of -5 or negative determination.
What, -5?
Because the area is.
It's within the area, okay, I could,
It's in within.
It's the activity, the work that is done.
okay, I like that. Question, comments?
Good point. Colby?
Yes, thank you, Colby. So much to take in.
Make a motion, is
Yeah,
there?
make a motion to issue -5.
Verified determination.
Determination,
4.5.
4.5 Old Battery Road, TWB 2025-004. Is there a second?
a second.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
We're good, second. Discussion? Roll call vote,
Mike Potts said yes.
James Gates, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Pat General, yes.
Woody Jack for helping us with questions and. No problem. Hey, Kevin, that's good, I am pleased.
Actually, I think we're prepared for that, too. It has to get signatures. Yeah, let's stick around for it. or-
We'll sign it after the meeting.
Sign after the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let's stick it.
I'll let Jack know.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
You too.
Take care.
You're talking to the table of people that forget.
Oh, yeah. Something's gonna happen.
That's what you're here for, so you don't forget. Here are memories.
Just gonna keep moving on to it.
It's 8:09, gonna move along to 3.2. Ann Gagnon is here representing the Division of Fish and Wildlife. Discuss some parcels in town. And if you wanna come to the table, you can sit with us.
Good evening, Ms. Gagnon.
First question I have is, do you have a copy of this deed? We had one, and so I just didn't know if you had.
Copy of what?
The deed,
Yes. Yeah, I think I
same
already,
thing, okay,
yeah, I think I already
okay.
provided a
Yep.
copy. That's the same thing.
We're here to listen whenever you're ready.
Okay, so my name is Ann Gagnon. I work for the Mass Department of Fish and Game. My office is in Air. And, you've probably seen me before, but basically, Fish and Game, Mass Department of Fish and Game owns the parcel that directly abuts Dudley Meadows. So there's a couple maps for you. Basically, Fish and Game purchased the former Bellaman property many years ago. Like an old
what
camp
we
or
as kids known as the Boy Scout camp.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think they may have recently taken down some buildings out there. They had- they
As of
had-
last year, they were still up.
No, I think
Did they
it's
find?
of this year,
Okay.
yeah, so,
'Cause
I
my
don't
boys
know.
discovered them and they were intrigued.
yeah,
We
yeah,
used to camp in them when we were kids.
yeah.
That was Judge Dudley's camp.
Yep, yep. So, it has come to light that, this Dudley Meadows cul-de-sac, open space recreation, development.
That
was
runs around the
supposed to-
backside of Atwood Acres.
Exactly,
And that was conveyed to the town,
exactly.
but
Typically, nowadays.
with a conservation restriction, I believe. Am I correct?
No, now there's a couple different options for developers. If they have an OSRD, they can deed the land directly to the town under the care, custody, and control of Conservation Commission. Or they can have it be in a homeowners association with a conservation restriction to either the Concom or land trust, et cetera. There's different options. But I noticed that the land hadn't come to the care, custody, and control of conservation. And so,
Well, this piece was.
That's funny, cause we just paid, I don't know how much money to have that survey.
Yeah, this
what?
particular piece of property came up in a discussion a number of years back. And it was told to me,
Kev, you're still on the properties committee?
correct, and it was told to me that this piece of property abutted obviously Atwood Acres.
Mhm.
And I had made the comment that they should look into keeping the way high dry ground, if possible, for a future, another age-restricted building. And it was told to me that no, it can never be built on because there is a conservation restriction on this property. I don't believe that. I said my point back then was I didn't believe there was.
Mhm.
I'm not seeing that here. And are you seeing that?
No,
I
so,
mean, you're the expert.
So-
You buy and sell a lot. I'm not buying and sell a lot of land. You're a land
Yeah,
purchaser
yeah.
for fish and wildlife. I'm the one who buys and sells it.
so let me say that I think you're correct and incorrect at the same time.
Okay.
So, yes, you are correct. I don't think there's a CR on the property, right?
Okay.
Can it be used for development? No, I don't think it can, because if you look at the planning board decision,
Okay,
it clearly says that it's supposed to be for conservation and recreation
Okay.
only.
okay.
And and that's, it kind of makes sense. It was an
It-
OSRD.
No, it does make sense. It did come up and there was no argument. I never saw that.
Mhm.
Okay, I never saw the decision.
So
of the
here's the
planning board.
OSRD development. Decision from the planning board.
No, it's pretty well here in black and white.
Yeah.
can you argue that point?
My concern is we just paid a lot of money to have this land surveyed.
We just surveyed it in
Not
the
ours.
last 30 days,
Why,
It-
why did you?
surveyed the whole parcel,
Well, I wish I wish Chris didn't leave.
yeah. Well,
They
it was-
did the original surveying and then they just redid it,
Yeah,
and bounded it for us so that we could,
keep it for conservation.
it's in our list of conservation owned properties.
Properties.
And I can see the confusion. I can see why it was on your list, because technically it can't be developed, right? Because of the
We
planning board decision.
Determined that,
But the deed
later.
reads different.
The deed reads different. So because the deed reads different, the town
the
has
planning
a
board,
couple different options. And before I approached the town to ask, do you want to sell this open space for conservation purposes, so it'll still be open space? I wanted to approach the Conservation Commission first, because if you felt strongly, look, we thought we owned it, we wanna own it,
no, I get it,
then
and
I don't wanna step on anyone's toes.
Now we have to try to
But
backtrack and
this-
figure out a bunch of stuff
this-
because.
this piece, and was, when I looked at the deed originally, I did not have a planning board decision.
Mhm.
Obviously, that planning board decision could be amended, I believe. I don't know,
I don't think so,
you don't think so, in your opinion?
no, in my opinion.
My concern was there was a ton of, there was a couple more acres there of property that would still be well outside of the 200, 300, maybe even up to 400 feet. And another future, and I'm talking future in our lifetime or not in our lifetime, they could put another building onto the back of this. It keeps everything in a nice parcel,
Well, don't they already, Atwood already has
2 parcels. But they
some additional.
they have some additional land, but they're really pushing the envelope to try to get that. And then the other thing is down along that brook, down along the brook here where the wetlands is, the question was brought up, well, it's considered affordable housing. So now we can go up to 35 feet and build up to 50 feet from it. I'm not a staunch believer in that. I'm not a staunch believer in low income, I think developments, that you can push up against the edge of wet. As a subdivision in town that was put in a number of years back, we ended up buying it at auction and we sold it because we don't believe in that type of building. We'd rather preserve the way, keep everything away. And but the rule is the rule. It's there for a reason.
Mhm. Yeah, you can imagine that.
Yeah.
Every OSRD,
Yeah,
someone
so-
would come knocking on the door
Yeah,
at some point
yeah.
saying, hey, Yeah.
But I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it myself. As a
So-
taxpayer in
so
town.
conservation, you thought you owned it. You had it surveyed with the idea that you were going to allow development on it? Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I don't
We're trying-
understand
So
why.
the properties that are owned by conservation are under
Or under
conservation
conservation
oversight.
This happens to be one.
As you know, you get landowner creep where people start to come in, or there's also the hunting aspect where people want to hunt the lands, and if they're not bounded properly and you go over to someone's private property, we're trying to follow suit to what the state does. Have it surveyed.
They have it bounded.
Well,
Then-
it was
then-
And then we were gonna,
surveyed, wasn't it?
yeah,
well,
I mean, there was a subdivision.
right, and
No,
then,
but they never set the bounds on that piece.
the Boy Scouts volunteered to put up the signage.
Hmm.
So we were just trying to do our due diligence to make sure that,
And that gives the kids a project and they got a line course to follow from point A to point B if it's bounded. And then they can turn around and put the tags on the trees.
Mhm.
as not,
We just had
Conservation
that.
will-
Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's been surveyed in the last probably 30 days, because I'm pretty sure it was only a month ago I saw them set up over there,
Right.
finishing
Uh,
up.
and we got a grant from Nash River.
Yeah, so, you know, we get some
So,
help.
there,
We get some
yeah,
help to do it.
so, and we were able to get a grant to pay for 3 properties to
Yeah.
be done, and we were, so we were
Wow, that's
trying.
great. I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
so
So
we were,
NRWA paid for the survey.
Yes,
Okay.
um,
What other ones did you do?
2,
we
now
did-
she's compiling a list of
Yeah.
properties,
we did West Meadow.
2 on West Meadow.
Yeah, that's right, 2 different parcels on West Meadow,
And we had put it,
up closer to the Ashby.
but we had
line.
asked about, or we had our agent at the time kind of pick a couple parcels that would be worth doing.
Yeah.
These are the 3 that she chose.
And North County's got a piece of property that's right on the state line. of
Yeah,
town
yeah,
in the
yeah, I
Brook
know that
area.
one, yeah.
So,
It was Townsend Conservation Trust
Yes.
land that they transferred to North County. Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
so we have to, how we go about doing any,
So you have a couple choices. You can put in a warrant article at the next town meeting to transfer this property from general municipal to the care, custody, and control of Conservation Commission. And then you're done. Pretty simple. The other alternative is for you to support the purchase of the property by Mass Department of Fish and Game, which would accomplish the same thing. It would be, protected Article 97 land. But the town wouldn't have to maintain it.
You got any other parcels in there, Ann, or is it all, Forest and Parks in there?
No, we have Bellarmine right next door.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's
so
right,
they
that's
just
right, the Forest and Parks is on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They jut in there.
right. So.
well, the
um,
maintenance thing, and I know, I don't necessarily see eye to eye with the way maintenance is done, because I like manage forests or woodlands because of a fire, just in case of a fire.
Mhm.
And that was the other part of bounding, doing the mapping of the conservation control properties, was to formulate a forestry plan
Mhm.
to maintain our town's forest. This just sounds horrible, and I don't intend it to be this way, but you look at DCR lands and they're nice and tidy and, well kept, even private conservation. I'm very pro private conservation. None of us here want to see a big town explode like Bedford, New Hampshire, which has just grown immensely. But to keep everything looking good and also provide a function, which was safety. We had the Purdy fire of 1930 something, Kevin?
27.
27 that, scarred all of Barker Hill.
All across Barker Hill, from the railroad tracks all the way across to North End Road, and some down into Bethel.
But, needless to say, and I know there's the moratorium on logging right now, and
That's been lifted.
which is good, but either way, I guess what are the intentions of the state with this piece of property? I know it ties it more together.
Mhm.
But I really feel more comfortable talking with the select board, because I know we are dire need of affordable housing, and maybe we do a land swap, which I know that stuff's written in deeds, it makes it difficult,
Yeah,
but,
that's a
If it was-
very slippery slope.
I know. And I like
Do
this, I like
I
the
think
slope
Fish
for
and-
some
do I-
reason.
Do I think Fish and Wildlife or conservation control, or we keep it under conservation control, should have the very bulk of this piece? Absolutely agree. I think the goal though is, you're trying to accomplish a lot. one is you got sand and gravel, no groundwater, no wetlands, high and dry.
But we won't talk to you about all
Yeah, you're
this.
running out of,
We're
we're
not-
running out of that, Ian. Because Forest and Parks and Fish and Wildlife owns all that good land in town now.
Mhm.
You can't deny it, Forest,
Right,
you know, and what's left, you know, we've gotta look out for our elder people, you know, and you know, is it a fight to get there? Maybe. And should the whole back of this go eventually to either in the conservation stewardship or fish and game? I agree. It's just how much of it, we might be a little premature on that particular piece.
Mhm.
What else you got?
that's.
Oh, that was
I have
it?
To discuss with you
Oh,
tonight, yeah.
oh,
How did this parcel get on your radar?
That's what I do for a living.
Okay, I know that.
So I try to, I try to make sure that important wildlife habitat is protected and that it stays that way. So if I see a parcel such as this one that was supposed to be protected, I had no idea that you were planning this swap. This
No,
is-
no, no, no,
We're
no,
not-
no.
we're not- we're not-
No, no,
we're
I just, that was
We're
just
just throwing
brought
stuff
up.
out there. We like to just throw stuff out
Sounds
there.
like
Well,
there's been more than,
well,
No,
no,
there
there
is
is not, there is not.
There are certain things that,
How much, you know,
it's just a coincidence that you had it surveyed
we,
while you.
no, because we had, we got some grant money to survey different larger parcels that are under conservation control, probably, hopefully be under conservation control.
we had no
Yeah,
intentions of
there's no
of
intention.
pushing for that. And
I have a
one
piece
part
of,
of that is to kind of prove to the town, because we were going through all that budget stuff, we still are. But we're so underfunded in the conservation side department. Poor Colby's here is bringing pencils from his kids' school. No. We literally run on a shoestring budget to be able to prove, hey, we can fund ourselves. You know, we need to be taken seriously. We've had enforcement issues in town that we've had to take to a state level that, you know, people have not paid attention, or they haven't taken conservation stuff as serious as they
cost of
should.
conservation, unfortunately, well, that's a
But
lot,
all this,
what we
you
don't
know,
have.
enforcement's cost money, everything costs money, and I wanted to see where can we go in this grant game, and we were able to get over $20,000 to survey these three parcels, and those three parcels were ones that were chosen by our past agent. Was
Who was the agent at the time?
Autumn Buck.
But
And then Jessica Consalvo was the land use coordinator, and I believe they worked together in picking the parcels. But either way, you know, it's really on us to do our due diligence. The land swap thing was just something I threw out there because we know that our town has a requirement to meet the affordable housing, and we're struggling.
it's a,
And you're the person that
Yeah.
really have to have the conversation with. So
Well,
you're
you
here,
can't, in terms of
and I know it's
affordable housing, you know.
how do you meet the 10%?
Doing, you can't do it the way the law is written. The law was written by developers.
Yeah. well,
So you're never gonna get to that number because the required number of affordable units per development is so small that, you know, you're not gonna get there. So you have to do something else more creative and.
That's-
do
and that's
some
where that comment-
houses, other
That's-
places.
that was
We
the,
look, you gotta look at.
And by creative, I don't mean
I know,
open space
Yeah.
set aside.
I know, but again, you don't know it unless you ask. or
We had to
talk
set,
about
we've
it.
set parcels aside, that, you know, for it. For example, South Road, I guess there was, Route 13, out by the Lunenburg line. We don't even own that land. You know, the town has to have certain areas that set aside for it, and we don't own the land.
So a lot of the times, I don't know how often you get to watch our meetings, but we have story times, but we have, there's a vast knowledge of town at this, that sits at this table. And, so sometimes we have to think outside the box, and that's how,
It's gonna get
that's how
difficult.
we get places. And
Townsend's very fortunate. Townsend is very fortunate as far as this community in the state for the percentage of land in open space. And owned either by Fish and Wildlife, Forests and Parks, and under wetlands, it's almost 40%. But, we're very fortunate, but that 40% is limited us to, and
Well, it's a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you could live in Lexington or Concord, which have lots of open space. Or you can live in, Waltham or the city.
I love Townsend because of the open space. We have
Exactly.
all that quarry that we've
So
reserved
Kevin,
for open space.
I want to, Mike and Pat are sitting, listening,
No,
and I'm sure Mike, I hope Mike has questions. I hope Pat has questions or discussion points. Ann's here, and it's like having Pat visit us. We're going to take advantage of the time. So please.
Well, honestly, there's so many entities that own various things and control, I'm not familiar enough with most of them to really, I get the gist of what's going on here, but not totally, but that's okay.
So do you have?
So
And
the
no
gist is
specific
that
questions. I
Okay.
think, so you want to buy the land, but there's some question about who actually owns the land?
No,
No,
there's no question, Mike, about who
But-
owns the land.
But,
The land was deeded to the town,
right,
and there is a restriction on land from Bureau of Planning Board decision. When I put my properties committee hat on from many years ago, when they put an expansion to the Atwood Acres elderly housing project over there on Dudley Road. That land was part of Judge Dudley's. It was given to the town, and I believe it was deeded in there for the poor, if I'm not correct. If you ever read the older deeds, I believe it was dedicated to be housed
Okay.
for housing.
all right,
for,
I
the
think I got,
poor, I believe
yeah,
it
I
was.
sort of get the gist of that. The part that I'm totally ignorant about is the requirements now about affordable housing. I mean,
Well, that's long and deep.
And-
We just had a state,
and-
a state
and-
official tell us it's almost impossible to meet.
Yeah.
yeah,
She works for the state on the other side of the fence. She's on the preservation side of the state. She works for Fish and Wildlife. There's two really state entities that own a lot of land in Townsend, are all actually all over the state. One would be Forest and Parks.
TCR.
Yes, DCR today.
Conservation and
Yeah,
Recreation.
I still call it Forest and Parks, but it's DCR. When you drive up into Ashby, you're driving up into the Willard Brook,
our house is
Brooks still
surrounded
here.
by.
Okay, you are, that's right. And so that is an entity, part of the state that owns a lot of land for conservation, preservation. And then there's Fish and Wildlife, which is where she sits. They try to buy any land they can buy to preserve it for wildlife corridors, examples, preservation along wetlands.
Yeah.
So she,
You know,
Ann presented, two options that get to the same place, okay? But then now we've introduced this other variable that, affordable housing and
Well,
land
okay,
swaps.
so
and
that's
all-
not, that's.
And I understand that you just brought it up, it's just, but,
That's just an example.
Yeah.
This particular piece, and and it was brought up to me years ago, as I had asked the town I had asked the properties committee to try to look into squaring it off, and so that they could put another building, because there is a piece of property left over there that's under Atwood Acres ownership, or Townsend Woods ownership, town's ownership basically, and it's a messed up piece. It's like a pork chop,
right, okay.
and I had said they should try to make a deal on some of this, square it off,
Okay,
and then give all this wet piece, all this, basically
wetland.
trade it,
so, okay.
right, trade it.
So-
Right.
Yeah, it's basically
right.
square it
Can I
off and
just-
then.
Can I
right.
just
Yes,
interrupt
yes.
one
Yeah,
minute
sure.
and say that,
But this was
I
from
don't
the
think
old
that's
committee.
feasible. And the reason I say that is because, if it's protected land, which under the OSRD, it
Mhm.
should be protected land,
mhm.
you can't just swap.
No,
It has to be the same, resources
mhm,
as well as the same value.
mhm.
So you can imagine that it would be very,
Oh, it would be
it would be
difficult
very
to do.
lucrative for a developer to
Mhm.
say, oh gee, this piece over here is open space set aside
Mm,
and it's all upland. And I have this piece over here that's all wet. I'll just swap, you know?
No,
And
no,
so
no,
that's the
it's-
reason
that's-
that there are these rules.
So, since we can't discuss this outside of the meeting, I'll just be blunt, okay? What would be the downside if the state owns it, in your mind?
There's no downside really. Town owns it, not as a conservation.
Okay,
Or conservation maintains ownership of it. It doesn't change anything. The fishing, all the people that fish the Squanicook River and all the people
Right,
that go all
sure.
through, they're
One of-
still gonna be able to use it.
But one of the things I brought up was the maintenance side of things and the.
I was gonna ask about that.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's also,
So you think the town would maintain it differently than if the state owned it?
if Mass Wildlife did, yes. And I understand that there's reasons you don't, or you maintain it the way you do. But I feel that the town retaining ownership, would be more beneficial to the town. But again, we're here to talk about it. We're not gonna say, we're not. It's a bit,
And also the towns and, could certainly use the revenue from
well,
this.
and that's part of
You
it.
know, that's one side of it. And has a value, the state puts a value
Yeah.
per acre on that parcel. They have a minimum value, I believe, and a maximum value.
Not necessarily.
No, and we could, so you brought up, it's high, dry ground with gravel and sand. There's a value to that. Obviously, the deed states that we can't,
Develop it.
but, it's,
The deed doesn't state that. The decision by the planning board a number of years ago depicts that. Can an amendment be made? And says probably not, but it might be a fight. Maybe it
I'm
could,
not
maybe
an
it can't.
attorney.
Yeah. So,
and none of us
Yeah,
are.
so we don't know where that was.
So,
Okay, so getting back to this maintenance thing.
But again, you get, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Okay.
I have to interject. You said that you weren't planning on swapping, but it sounds like
No,
you're really
no.
considering the options of somehow
it would be-
developing the property, be it gravel or,
No, no,
swap.
no, no.
We can't, we know we can't.
We know we
Okay.
can't do
And the
that.
intention, again, the intentions of bounding the property was to create a forestry plan long-term, and to provide boundaries for hunters and recreational.
Because you're gonna have these people coming over along where these
well,
older people live.
it's been like this for how many years?
Well,
All it takes is one person to screw it up, though.
Yeah, I don't really
Yeah, well,
understand the,
I haven't been on the commission for very long, and so the decision to have these parcels surveyed was before me, but I got the gist of why we're doing it, and I
Well, we're
hope
doing
you're,
it so that
I
all
hope
the-
you're not laboring under a misconception, because that's not what they have in mind.
okay, good, I'm glad to hear
yeah,
that.
it's,
Sometimes we come off a
I'll be
little crazy.
checking, I'll be keeping an eye, quite frankly,
No.
to see if there are any proposals. And I
I don't-
take your word for it when
But-
you say
no
that you have no
no
intention of
intention
swapping.
there's
whatsoever.
no-
man.
I take your word for it.
But it would be, but for the point of the, or part of the conversation is, and I know you stated it's a slippery slope. You know, is there a way, to do some sort of land swap so that there's even.
But I
if
don't
it's-
believe DCR could do it. I don't believe Fish and Wildlife could do it either.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
thinking of the town.
in an example, let's take an example. Atwood Acres, the parcel.
Mhm.
This parcel
Directly
that's behind it,
adjacent, yeah.
okay? Directly adjacent to across the road on the north side of Dudley Road is all high dry ground, right? Owned by DCR. Can they do a swap? I think it would take an act of Congress. I'm not sure. But, I guess the reason that one would look at that would, it may or may not be a possibility. Okay, let's say Fish and Wildlife own that high dry ground over there on the right with nice road access. Say it wasn't DCR, it was Fish and Wildlife. You come to us and you say, geez, we'd like to do this. Well, is there any way that you'd be willing to trade us this piece for that piece so that we could do an expansion over there? I don't know if it's an act of Congress or not, whether it is, but it doesn't make sense to me, why there wouldn't be a rule in the state legislature somewhere to allow something like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
There
So,
may never be, and maybe there is. Do you know of any of them? You're a land buyer.
No,
You
we
just,
don't, if Fish and Wildlife purchases property for
Mm, yeah.
conservation purposes.
it's in a perpetuity
And that's
that,
in perpetuity, and there's a reason for that.
I'm pretty sure that the deed states that the property can be bought for fair market value back.
Fish and Wildlife land?
It's in the deed for my, father-in-law's parcel of his.
No.
Okay,
Now, I would love to see
you
what you're
would know,
referring to.
you would know, and you structured that deal, I believe.
Yeah,
Did you? I believe
I
you
don't
did.
know
it was
I don't
federal
know
grant, a federal grant.
Rossback, the Rossback farm over here?
Rossback.
Yeah, you
okay.
structured that
So,
deal, probably
yeah,
as a land
so
purchasing
you're-
agent for here.
But either way, that's still, we're now we're
Yeah,
going down.
yeah,
rabbit
let's,
trails. So-
that's another
But
rabbit hole.
I would be happy to, offline, outside this public meeting, to go over any questions you have about that.
So-
But once Fish and Wildlife buys a piece of property, we, as far as I know, have never given up land or swapped land. And the reason is because a lot of times people will sell us land because they want it protected, right? And if they thought that 10 years from now, or 25 years from now, or 50 years from now, the state was gonna turn around and have it developed, then they would have a completely different attitude
Yeah, see,
about it,
that
right?
was my question.
Not
not to change the
it's crazy
parcels, but-
because I know that's Fish and Wildlife's goal, but then you have people in the state house making these laws that are almost impossible to meet, or these regulations that are very difficult to meet. And then, next thing you know, the
I
town,
don't have anything
I
to
know
do
you
with
don't.
that.
No, I know, and it's just, context of the whole conversation, these low-income housing requirements that if you don't meet, the Attorney General will sue the town.
I was also told, and this is, and they
There's, I
have
think
some,
2 towns that have been sued already.
now, this piece is under, this piece is under the town's control, Conservation Commission's control. The state wants to do something with this, say affordable housing. They can take this land from us to develop.
I'm not an attorney.
See now, and which brings me to a parcel that we own on the other side of town, if you're familiar with it up there, that Mason Brook parcel from starts at the state line and goes down to the Old Brooks Crossing, Mason Road.
bring it back to, Ian's visit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, no, I was just using, I was trying to,
I told you, we don't get,
I guess he's saying
Yeah.
that's a question you and I can,
Colby's tired.
we can chat
Thank you.
about
Colby,
later. You have my number
I'd
still.
like to
Well,
give
yeah,
Ian
but
a
you
chance
have
to
my
sell our
card.
agency.
Yeah, well, I'm probably gonna lose that as soon as I go out of here, but.
Well, Put in your phone.
We'll chat after.
So
Yeah.
where's this going next?
Hold on, we got too many, Colby, go ahead.
So, as far as the Conservation Commission's options here, what is it that the Fish and Wildlife can do differently or better as far as land protection and conservation, preserving conservation on the property?
Now we're not doing we're talking about what she's really here for. But that's a great question. That's a great question, and I don't want to lose that, right?
No, it's off course, I think.
I think it is. I feel that we should talk with, I think that we should have the properties committee and the select board and conservation have a discussion about this.
Well, it doesn't sound like the commission as a whole. 1, 2, 3, 4 people who are
Well,
voting.
Grumpy's not here, but.
Okay, so 4 or
Yeah,
5 people.
Grumpy's missing.
It doesn't sound like you guys are
Well,
convinced
I'm one
to
vote,
sell it.
Kevin's one vote, Pat, Mike.
So
That's
can we
why-
take a
that's-
straw vote to see?
Well,
how you-
that's why I asked
I think
about,
it's premature.
yeah, I think, well, I'm not gonna vote one way or another, but it seems to
Fair.
me, face value, there are some advantages if the state has it and maintains it, and that's another question. When you have property, you basically leave it alone, and you're saying that the town
It
actually.
depends on the particular
Yeah,
parcel.
right.
Sometimes we do some habitat work to increase the value for rare species.
Mhm,
You know, like we'll put
Okay.
in a turtle nesting area.
okay,
Sometimes we do other things with our property, clearing or
Mhm.
forestry or whatever.
A lot of
But
it
for
has
the
to do with
most
habitat
part,
though.
okay,
Yeah,
all right.
But for the
Well,
most part, we maintain our boundaries and make sure that there's no trespass issues, you know, where neighbors go over the line, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. Make sure that people are doing, not using the property illegally with ATVs or tearing
Yeah.
the place up.
Well, what I would like to do myself, besides, you know, if this committee gets together with the select board and discuss it, okay, is to make the pro and con list. And so I'm non-committal right now, but I could certainly be open to it if my pro list favors that, so, yeah.
Oh, I agree. I'm not,
So maybe I should go directly to the properties committee.
well, if you go to the properties committee, I don't know that they're gonna act any differently. This is under conservation jurisdiction now, right?
Well, according to,
But maybe not.
Indeed,
It's
you know.
not, though. Yeah. It's a gray
I
area.
think that, so in my opinion,
It's gonna end up at the
this
selectman's
question,
office.
well, no, this question should be sent to our lawyer, and he can decipher it and see where we land. You know, before we go committing to anything and before we start pulling
And
meetings
because he's
together.
gonna, he may look at that and say, yeah, it's gonna take an act of Congress. It's not worth it.
You know,
You'll never, your chances of ever doing an expansion there, you better look for another.
Well, not just
course.
that, but
Yeah.
An
just,
expansion.
no,
I'm
No,
just
no.
saying, anything in the future,
Yeah,
never
I see.
so there's always that, because we always like to throw wrenches into stuff.
Yeah.
But to get the land into the conservations, you know, like you said, you do a warrant article, but
Why would you not want to do that?
I think we should, but at the same time, we aren't the select board also, and they have the,
Well, no, it's town meeting.
no, I know, but it's
To
the
be
select,
honest,
if the
it's
select
town
board
meeting's
wants to sell this,
decision.
if the select board wants to sell this parcel to, you know, Mass Wildlife, it's really ultimately up to them. This isn't deeded to conservation, but I understand the channels you're trying to work through. And, you know, I really think that we should probably ask Adam, the town lawyer, for some guidance on this.
So who's town council?
Adam Costa.
Costa.
So
And
if you
does he
don't,
work for a firm or?
Yeah, I can't think of.
I don't
the name of the
remember.
firm.
Okay, I can find out.
But Colby, if you
You there with me,
don't
I'll
mind
give it to you.
sending an email to Adam,
I can go back
Don't
and
you have
find
to
out.
go through selectmen to go to town council?
You don't have to.
I don't know.
No, historically, we haven't, but
In
we
most
should,
towns,
but we need to include,
they wanna
Why
know how
don't
much.
you
Oh,
figure it
no,
out?
we can only reach out to the selectmen. The selectmen will have to do that. I was just trying to get you, because he did actually send me an email and I was gonna give it you guys information.
Colby,
It
talk
was
to
on another
Nelson,
matter, but
get his blessing to talk to Adam about this, and when you send an email to Adam asking the question, just include Ann, myself, and probably Sabrina. You know, just asking who has jurisdiction over this? Obviously, it's the town, but we need some guidance and give them context of that's why, like,
978.
hold on, I don't know with the, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
I don't need his number, I
Jesus.
just wanted to know.
The office is,
Okay, hold on,
just like,
okay, we don't need to.
You're being recorded too, so.
Yeah.
Just go ahead.
I just want to know his
These kids are
firm,
watching
that's
it at
all.
home. Might have done
oh, I thought you could give out
So,
this public
Ian,
information.
it. Let's try to figure out some of the detail stuff,
Okay,
because I personally would prefer to keep it as town property and to be able to maintain it as conservation land.
Well,
We're
I'm
not
glad
gonna
that you-
do anything
I'm
with it.
glad that after this many years, you, have decided to bound it and, figure out the actual ownership, so it's all for the better.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation with Delta Roy. Not, why didn't you guys say something? But either way, you know, there are other parcels in town that, you know, this is kind of a central part to, I feel like, the town area. There's a lot of internet trails and everything that go from here and the rail trail that way to
The Howard
State
Park,
Forest.
everything goes over there.
But I do know we own other parcels in town that we just simply forget about, that are large enough that it might be more beneficial for the state to own.
Okay, well, feel free to get in touch,
So-
you know how to get in touch with me.
Okay,
Are there other minimum size requirements that you're looking for, or?
No, it depends, location, right?
Obviously, you probably wanna try to, you know, connect parcels and,
Yeah.
so we're not shooting any of it down. We'd rather have a working relationship with, especially
yeah,
state
right.
officials,
That's fine.
because,
Well, like I say,
Nothing's easy.
I feel we're blessed in town. To have this much ownership. I mean, the downside of it, there's a downside to it too, but, you know, I've always loved Townsend because of that. Townsend will always have limited development.
you've been over there, Pat, you have questions?
No,
Hey,
I'm
Mike.
listening. You know, cause I'm not,
If you
Original-
don't you order, Mass Wildlife land by the sand pits?
yes,
So you understand the benefit and,
yep,
the importance of it.
yeah, I mean, cause we get turtles and stuff too in there and, you know, my concern still is with the ATVs and everything else coming in and
It's right
destroying
there.
the eggs and stuff and, you know,
Mhm.
so, yeah,
She's right
I
up there in the ground.
don't want anybody in there, you know, and we've tried our best to actually, the conservation stuff and the land use that put up posts and gates and all kinds of things. The kids had destroyed it before, like in a couple months.
Mhm.
And now they have really good cement ones where these kids can't do that and stuff. But now they are coming in by the apartments and coming through that way. And they try to put big boulders
She's one of the people to talk to about it.
and stuff, to try to not let them come in, but they get around them anyway. And And we actually have trucks that go in there. And I know they go in there for hunting at nighttime. Yeah, for deer, when deer season's in, oh yeah,
Okay,
they're in there.
Well, you can
We-
always
we've
call
really
the
taken-
EPOs.
Yeah, we're taking
I
a
do.
poll on that
Oh, I
time
do.
tonight.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I hear the guns go off.
Okay,
Let
well,
me
I
go
guess
after that,
you
like,
guys,
Probably town police.
Oh, I do. I call them and I call the environmental and they will sometimes come out on a Saturday and Sunday and sit there because that's when the kids are out there too. But the kids are smart. They know what time the police officers are changing times in there, you know? So at 4 o'clock, they know that they're changing and boy, they're in there, you know? And they made all kinds of hills and it got to be a dumping ground of cans and couches and all kinds of stuff in there. And a lot of the areas right where the turtles would be.
well, do you have my card? Here, let me give you my card and you can get in touch with me
If you don't mind, because
separately.
I know we're all tired.
Yep.
Can we circle back in about a month?
Yeah, whenever, if,
Give us a chance to do some homework.
yeah, and please let me know what you find out.
Feel free to check in
okay,
also.
but before you leave, by some chance, on the, next on the agenda was my brief description of the conservation restriction meeting that we had last week.
Oh, yes.
For the Squanicook Meadows,
Mhm.
okay? And,
So
it
we're gonna go now to 3.3. And Mike is on the Squanicook Meadows Conservation Restriction Committee.
Right.
Mike's gonna give us an
So,
update.
so basically, we have the officers, okay, it's, Veronica Kell, there's, Selena Thomas, who is with the soccer, okay, and, Ann was there, Emily Norton, fine. So,
Emily's-
most of us were somewhat familiar or very familiar with the regular, application for a conservation restriction. And then you described what you described as the boilerplate, which was, it sounded to me like it would facilitate, okay. And similar to this situation, either you go through the normal conservation restriction application, you get to the point where the way it's written, the soccer field, the soccer organization could make another field, could make a lightning shelter, okay? And then we would have to find someone who would hold the restriction. And Veronica, I believe it was, said that someone from the Nashua River Watershed Association, Fetterman was his name.
NRW, yeah, Al Fetterman.
Al Fetterman was thinking about finding someone. Then Ann described this other option, which the state would hold the restriction.
Mhm.
So if you could just briefly explain that, because that was news, it seemed to be news to everyone at the
Yeah,
meeting.
and so it's not an either or, it's essentially the same process. A conservation restriction is placed over a piece of property. The landowner still owns the property and you basically sell
Oh,
the development
development
rights.
rights.
Yeah, like the
You know,
development, yeah.
It-
similar to that.
It allows
48
certain
acres.
things and doesn't allow other things, right?
Mhm.
So normally, if the town gets a CR, or a land trust gets a CR, it has to be approved by the state. And so you have to go through the Division of Conservation Services. If you do a CR with a state agency such as TCR or Department of Fish and Game, then we're already the state, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so we don't go through the DCS process. So it just makes it a lot
Streamlines it.
quicker.
But you end up in the same place.
You end up
Yeah,
in the same.
yeah.
And the other little- the other-
But the development right, purchasing the development rights is only good for 20 years, correct? I know
No.
this parcel can never be,
No,
so it's the lifetime.
Yes, if it's a CR that's
Okay.
approved by the state, then it's permanent, it's in perpetuity.
Yeah, I asked that.
That's Lada's, kind of like Lada's piece, right? The Dunstable. Piece similar to that, I think that was.
Yeah, yeah, that's APR,
Yeah,
Yeah.
API.
same thing,
Same.
state agency.
Yeah, okay.
Department of.
It was expected that a Todd Melanson
Yeah,
from the water department, I guess, was going to be there. He wasn't there. And I think it's important to the future meeting, which we're gonna have in 3 or so weeks, to have him there, because the one little wrinkle is that
there's a well.
there was a well site, a possible well site. There isn't a well there now.
Mhm.
And so that would have to be, and it would be within the area that the state would hold a restriction. So that would have to be worked out, some verbiage, I guess.
Yeah,
Radius.
In the
I
back
think.
corner.
So bottom line is that we're just beginning the process. We have another meeting, we'll see how it goes. But those seem to be the two options right now.
and it was my understanding from that meeting that someone approached the Conservation Commission to hold the CR and you chose not to.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Is that
we had no
true?
interest in doing it.
Okay,
But that might be a change, that might be something, because we've had new members come on and old members leave, that maybe it's something that needs to be discussed.
In the future.
The CR was,
well, these guys are working on it now.
I know,
maybe-
but I'm the one that
Ball rolling.
I'm the one that kind of opened that can of worms. So back in 2021, when we were really discussing the field expansion, the National Heritage, we did a lot of pre-consultation meetings or pre-permitting meetings. So we would hit the ground running when the permit is submitted. We're still in that phase, but one of the things that was brought up by Dave Paulson and Mike Jones was putting that property in a CR just to seal it and make sure that nothing else could happen or be built there. Which that property was donated to the town by Jim Craven, with the explicit use for recreation. And I know that the Craven family want that. So with that said, that was prior to my time on the joining conservation. And I was kind of against it, but after talking and understanding it more, it makes sense to do it. But part of the soccer club's goal is to help reestablish habitat on the property, because we know it is such an important property.
Plus major turtle habitat.
That's what I mean. It's like a sacred ground to those guys, and
To which guys?
to National Heritage.
Oh. I thought you were talking
No,
about
they-
soccer club.
No. Well, it's very important to us, but
Oh.
it is their pride and joy, our little fields and towns, and that we would like to make sure that part of the CR is habitat restoration and maintenance. I know Emily has done her best with doing what she can with volunteers. I know Jim has helped provide trucks to haul out brush, because we don't want brush being piled on the property. So it's been a collaboration of all the different, and now we've dragged Mike into it to help draft the CR. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we're trying to do stuff concurrently now, because my kids are starting to age out of the program and I want to move on. But we want to see expanded fields and a gathering spot for the community that
It's a beautiful spot.
is
Okay, so
So I don't mind,
you're good.
Yeah.
my wife is
I-
not feeling well, so.
Kevin is
It's getting
leaving.
late. I can, you can always invite me back, you know where I'm located.
No, we would like to see back in a month or so, or whenever Goldie can I know, Colby, Colby,
Do a
shoestring.
little homework, do a little homework and.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. Is there anything else you want to add to it?
No,
Um,
but it's still the beginning of the process. You're gonna be at the meetings, obviously, so,
Don't
yeah.
forget, do you have your coat?
Great, thank you.
Okay.
thank you, Ann.
Bring
you.
I hope we weren't too
Hope
scary.
your wife feels better. Oh, lost your pencil now. Wait a minute,
Told Jen, I said hi.
I think.
your
Jen,
pencil's here.
Jen,
pet it.
Oh, I lost that earlier, must have been stuck in the coat.
It was, yeah, because it came with your coat.
All right, so let's move on, because I'm tired and I'm gonna go news check to make sure the sugar check.
Me too, I'm hungry. I've been out so far.
Three point four planning board floodplain district. No, it's fine, it'll keep me awake. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 48, subsection 5, the Townsend Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 14th, 7:10 PM in person, Town Hall. Regarding certain proposed amendments to town zoning bylaw, being chapter 145 of the town code as follows, by deleting Article 4 entitled Special Provisions, the entirety of section 45 entitled Floodplain District, and substituting a new section 45, therefore, relative to the regulation of the floodplain overlay district, comply with the requirements of the federal emergency, or FEMA, and the National Flood Insurance Program. By adding to zoning in section entitled Attachments, a map entitled Townsend, Mass zoning map containing the floodplain overlay district area effective as of 7/8/25, by amending Article 4 entitled Special Provisions, section 54.1 entitled Age Restricted Development, so as to reduce the acreage requirement for these developments to 1 acre, so as to render the age restriction obligatory, and to authorize the planning board to grant certain waivers. Complete text of the proposed amendments above and is available for review in land use office during normal business hours. You can also join Zoom. Do we have any comments? It's a state law and it's also FEMA requirement, so we really can't have too much say in it, but I'm ears if you want me to write it. Like that,
To write it?
or to write a comment.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, do we have papers to sign too tonight?
Yes.
Because I meant to
Three. You got three.
tell him before he left, but
We had fun, right?
Is he still out there yapping?
I don't think so.
I think I hear his voice.
Three's the majority, right?
I see the,
Yeah, can you?
I see the women.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, there he is.
Sign it too.
Can I get you to sign the RDA
Yeah.
real quick?
Yeah,
Okay, moving on. 4.1, 128 Turner Road, project has no wetlands. This is a septic replacement, so it's just a correspondence. Next meeting, we're gonna talk, 22 Sauna Road. I'm sure Colby has other stuff, but,
Nope.
you say that now. So make motion to adjourn our meeting at 9:08 PM.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote.
Mike Pratt said yes.
James Gates, yes.
Pat Jumble, yes.
yeah.